The St. Louis Blues are unstoppable. Let's talk about it here on Locked On Blues.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, for an exclusive Locked On Blues post-game show with your 10 straight wins, 16-2 post-break, wildcard 1 St. Louis Blues. Wow, I can't even process what I just saw. If you don't know, the Blues won 2-1 in overtime against the Detroit Red Wings. Cam Talbot did play a fantastic game. Snuggie made his rookie debut, but I can't even process what we just saw. I am live on YouTube, by the way, so if you want to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts, please do so. But the Blues could not score a goal. At one point, they had 35 shots on goal that Talbot was able to save. And then I have to give Coach Montgomery credit because he pulled Binnington with like 3 minutes left. And I was like, well, that's a little aggressive. However, within like the last 30 seconds of regulation, Jordan Kyrou scored, and it was a great feed from Cam Fowler. And you might be wondering, Haley, Cam Fowler, he had a great assist. Was that it? No. He scored the overtime winning goal. Like, I can't process what I just saw. And I have to tell you, the St. Louis Blues, I don't care what anybody says, this is a Cinderella story team this season. 10 straight wins. 10 straight wins for your St. Louis Blues, who are now in wild card 1. Let that sink in, okay? Since the break, 16 wins, 2 overtime losses, and 2 regulation losses. That's it. And you know what's funny? It's the last minute of regulation, right? I'm sitting here, I'm on my phone, like live tweeting. And I'm like, please don't get, because it's a little bit delayed on the stream. And I'm like, please score. And then all of a sudden, Ruzi scores, and I scream. My cat, she's next to me. She jumps down. She's like freaking out. She's like, oh my God, Mom, what's going on? We go to overtime, right? And the Wild, they lost in overtime. So they were only at 86 points. And I'm like, okay, if we go to overtime and we get just one more goal, that's all the Blues need is one more goal. They become the wild card 1 team in the West. It is great, baby. It is so great. And the thing for me is, I'm going to put some of your comments up again. Thank you so much I don't do lives that often. However, I had to represent my Blues. I didn't even put my sweater on, honestly. I was trying to rep like the red tonight with like their sweaters. I'm all flustered because I don't know what I just saw. I just saw Cam Fowler have such an incredible game. And you know what? Nathan left a comment and he said Fowler has been huge for the Blues since they got them. And Nathan, I could not agree more with you. I mean, Cam came here when he only had a handful of games left before he hit his 1,000th career game. And he has been unstoppable. I mean, I can't put into words, and I'm going to break down statistics in a minute, but I can't put into words the impact on defense that Cam Fowler has had. And Detroit, don't forget, they have one of the best power plays in the NHL. And Jamie Rivers on the broadcast, who's great, by the way, he said it best, don't take any penalties, right? Blues took a couple, and I was nervous, but I have to tell you, Cam Fowler being out on the PK makes me feel so much better. And there's times where I do miss Torrey Krug. I miss Colton Parayko. Obviously, I miss Colton Parayko. However, with Cam Fowler on this defense, I just feel a lot better. Charles says, what a great game. Thank you for doing these podcasts. It's funny. I talked about how it began feeling like 2019 on my episode yesterday, and I want this team to have their own identity. But you're right. There is that bit of magic that does feel like 2019. I think that it's this like late season type of run. I love everybody joining right now. I'm going to get all of your comments up. Joshua says this was a great game for us to have. It was like playoffs. It did feel like playoff hockey, but you have to tell me, okay, how did you react when Jordan Kyrou scored that goal with under 30 seconds left of regulation? Did you think that the Blues were able to do it? I personally was like, please, somebody. I mean, if you think about the first frame of the game, Bushi had such a great opportunity and just completely missed the net. But there were so many opportunities throughout this game, as I did mention at one point towards the end of the third. The Blues had 35 shots on goal, which is a lot, by the way. And Talbot, I have to give him credit. He played a fantastic game. Obviously, the Red Wings are one of those teams where I kind of feel like they're always a bit of a challenge for the Blues. How about Vladdy? Did you see on I'm very excited, by the way. But did you see in overtime when it looked like Benner kind of tripped Vladdy a little bit? I love Tarasenko, and again, we all know that he's one of my favorite guys to wear the blue note in recent time. But I was like, wow, come on, Biddington. Um, Everyone's happy. Blues, Blues, Blues. This is such a great team. Thank you so much. It felt magical. And I'm going to break down all the, the statistics, all of that stuff, but I had to jump on here and just react immediately because what I just saw takes away all of the negativity that I'm seeing from other jealous teams in the NHL. They said, and I know the Blues are 16-2-2 now, but during the time when the Blues were 15-2-2, right? People were saying the Blues had a really easy schedule. Okay, you say that. You realize that the Blues beat the Avalanche this weekend. They beat the Red Wings, who were trying to compete for a playoff spot. They beat, let's go think the Montreal Canadiens, who were wild card too. All I'm saying is the Blues did beat a lot of good teams. And I don't care if you're going to disregard teams like Nashville, because at the end of the day, that is disrespectful because Nashville still has Steven Stamkos, Forsberg. They still have great players. So it doesn't matter how the Blues got the points. The Blues still got the points. What's funny, and this is the argument that I will use. And again, please leave your comments and let's react to this fantastic Blues win. What I say to people when they want to discredit what the Blues have done, I say this. You do realize that every single team in the NHL plays each other. So while the schedule might be easier for the Blues, they still play the same teams that your team has played, but guess what? They're winning them. And I have to give so much credit to Coach Montgomery. I still think that he is going to win the Jack Adams. I know that sounds kind of crazy. He gets fired from the Bruins, but he comes to the Blues and he did something special with this team. So again, let me know, do you think Coach Montgomery has a shot of winning the Jack Adams? And, Zach Bolduc, he's third amongst rookies in goals scored. I know he didn't score tonight. However, that is still something that's fantastic that we need to talk about. Dylan Holloway got a point tonight, the secondary assist on Kyra's goal. I know his point streak came to an end. It was like a 9-game point streak. However, it was still good to see Holloway having an impact. Oh, and Broberg was so close to scoring. There were so many chances tonight. But it's just so magical with this team. We're here in Enterprise. I'm doing like the power play dance. Bum, 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 woo! Like, I'm so energized right now. And I get to talk about the St. Louis Blues. Like, this is my hockey team. We all have different teams that we cheer for with other things, but the Blues are my hockey team, okay? This is the team that I'm a fan of. I have so many friends that live by me where I live that are Blues fans. And doing this podcast allows me to connect with everybody that loves to wear the blue note. So again, what a great win for our St. Louis Wild Card 1 Blues. And it is fantastic right now. And I just want to give you a little bit of an update right now. Our friends, Utah, I know. They're up 2-1 over the Flames, which is actually a really big deal for us just because when it comes, I know we're Wild Card 1 right now, but, anything can happen. It's good to get those teams further and further away. So, wow, I can't believe what I just saw. Oh my goodness, Cam Fowler, the man that you are. Who would have thought that Cam Fowler would have been this impactful with our team? I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. 3 games in a row. I mean, not 3 games, 10 games in a row. I can't believe it. I said 3 games, 10 games, because who would have thought? It's funny. The last time the Blues had a long winning streak was 2020-22. It's so great. It is so great. So I'm going to break down statistics. This is the Blues post-game show. Again, I'm Haley Taylor Simon here of Locked On Blues. I talk about the St. Louis Blues every single day for the past 2 years now on this podcast, but a fan my entire life, repping the Blue Note. And we're going to break down all the statistics from the game. But again, let me know how you feel about tonight's win. Again, a 2-1 overtime win against the Detroit Red Wings. What a fantastic game. But first, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories like the Blues, and even who's cutting down the nets. One thing that this March Madness is a little bit different is all the one seeds advance. I still said Duke was going to win. I know some people say Florida. However, I'm going to stick with Duke. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops all tournament long. All right, let's get back to some Blues talk. I also want to just say, too, Snuggie had his NHL debut tonight, and I thought he did a really good job. I mean, obviously, he was on the ice when the Red Wings scored, which but hey, it is what it is. He played well, and he held his own, and that's what matters. So, again, congratulations to Snuggie. And let's just begin breaking down some statistics, talk about the win. But wow, I think I'm in shock. I really think I'm in shock right now. That just happened. Jordan Kyrou scored within like the last 30 seconds. And look at that win column that we have. It is fantastic. Wow. 29 seconds left of regulation, and Jordan Kyrou is able to bank it in the net behind Cam Talbot finally, and giving the Blues a moment. Wow. Vladdy did get a point tonight. Did you get the secondary assist on the Red Wings goal? Wow, 32 goals for Jordan Kyrou. 3 consecutive seasons now that Kyrou has scored more than 30 goals. Huge. It's funny. I'm looking at these statistics, right? Obviously, Cam Fowler scored and Robert Thomas was the setup, the assist. But Robert Thomas now has 50 assists on the season. And you might be like, why did I chuckle a little bit? Because people that say Robert Thomas isn't an elite player are so wrong. He is such a fantastic player. Wow, Robert Thomas. Ooh, incredible. 37 shots for the St. Louis Blues tonight. A lot of hits tonight, 39 for the Blues and 32 for the Red Wings. Both teams had equal penalty minutes with 6. Do you see this right now? This is pure excitement. Anyways, for the Blues tonight, let's go see if there's any standout kind of stats. How much time did Snuggie get on ice tonight? He got about 10 minutes and 43 seconds. You know what? It's your debut. That's a good amount of time. It is what it is. Honestly, I'm not upset about that whatsoever tonight. And it's funny, but Zach Bolduc, I know that he didn't score tonight. However, he still had about 3 shots on goal, which is really good. I think the one thing that I have to say about this team is that I needed the energy to be picked up a little bit. They waited till the end, and I'm happy that they won, but still I was like, not as much energy. Again, leave your comments. Post-game show, it's a little bit different than my regular episodes because we just begin talking about how excited we are, how amped up we are about the 16-2-2 St. Louis Wildcard 1 Blues. But I can't talk about the Blues if I'm not talking about one of the best pickups this team has had. And again, it's funny because he is a Detroit native. 33-year-old Cam Fowler. Cam Fowler, the man that you are, because this man has done incredible things for the Blues this season. He played 44 games wearing the Blue Note. It felt like just like yesterday when he came to the Blues. However, 9 goals. 9 goals, 21 assists, and 30 points, I believe, because they didn't update the statistics. About plus 14 on the season, probably a little bit more now. He has been incredible for us here in St. Louis. Obviously, the Blues, they went through a lot of change with, Pareka and then being out recently. But even in the beginning of the season, you have to remember too about Torrey Krug. That was a big thing. I think having more veteran presence on defense is important, especially when it does come to the younger guys like a Tyler Tucker. However, I want to also say in the same sentence that Ryan Suter played a good game tonight. Justin Folk played a good game tonight. I saw a lot of good things. Okay, let's go read some comments because this is a good comment and this is something that I actually want to address. Honestly, they may have been more weaker teams the Blues have played, but they have been winning, not by a little, but they've been crushing their opponent. The Blues allowed only a handful of goals these past 10 wins. That is true. And that's something that is really important to take note of, is the fact when you look at these Blues wins, you have like 6-2, 6-2, 6, like I believe there was 2-6-2s. I have to look back at all the scores, honestly. I'm going to do that now for you because that is a good point. With the Blues' wins recently, it's been 2-1 Red Wings, 2-1 Avs, 3-2 Preds, 6-1 Canadians, 4-1 Predators, 4-1 Blackhawks, 4-3 Canucks. Again, tough game, overtime, right? 4-1 Preds, 7-2 Anaheim, right? We forget about that. That's when they honored Captain Braden Shen. And then 5-1 Wild. Now, the Blues have the Penguins up and coming. They did lose the Penguins previously. However, I still feel like this team is better than the Penguins, obviously, as a whole. But again, the Penguins, I can't disregard the talent that some of these teams do have because that's not fair to them. But it's been really good. The Red Wings goalie was on fire tonight. I'll give him that. Yeah, so Cam Talbot, he's been in this league forever. He's 37 years old. I've been watching him, I feel like, my whole entire life. And he decided to play the game of his life tonight. He did a fantastic job in net. And I agree, if it wasn't for, Cam Talbot stepping up big time, I'm sure the Blues would have scored some more. But the Blues also had, and I'm not going to be negative, but they did have opportunity. You look back to that first frame of play, and I believe within the first shift, even within the first 20 seconds, there was opportunity for Kyrou and Bushi. And again, I'm not hating. I'm just saying factual statements here that the Blues did have opportunity. Now, again, you factor in Cam Talbot, played a fantastic game, can't disregard that. But when the net's a bit open, right, and the goalie's not able to cover the full entire thing, that's when you need to take advantage. That's when you have to do the wraparounds and rebounds. And that's the one thing about the Blues that I've noticed is that they've had guys posted up by the nets to rebound, which is actually really smart. One thing that I notice when I watch other NHL teams is that they usually lack in rebounding, right? You take that initial shot, it deflects maybe a little bit, and then you have nobody there by the post to knock it in. The Blues do a good job in at least having a body there that they can tip it in just in case. And again, I think that's something that makes the Blues stand out more. I guess you can say more on offense than other teams because they're aggressive around the net. And again, I feel like I'm such a big stat nerd, right? And I try not to be so statty or whatever, but I watch a lot of hockey and I cover a couple teams for my job. But at the end of the day, I get to talk about the team that I'm a fan of, which is the Blues. And I think watching Blues hockey, it makes me appreciate Coach Montgomery so much more on what he's doing with these lines. You had Snuggie with Oscar tonight. And I know what you might be thinking, Haley. Oscar Sundqvist isn't this, standout player. And I understand that. But he is still a veteran and he's still somebody that the younger guys on the team do confide in. So I think that it's really smart playing him there. I think that Nathan Walker, I mean, there was a 2-on-1 opportunity with him and Holloway, and he didn't pass the puck. He took the shot on net, didn't go in. It happens. But I was happy to see Nathan Walker playing a little bit of a more aggressive game. That's what I want to see out of these players. I know that it's easy to say, oh, we'll just pass it to Holloway or Thomas. And I understand that 100%. But when you see other guys on the team stepping up and being a little bit more aggressive, that's when it all kind of connects. Even Braden Shen, I know I haven't talked about him on this post game at all yet. He played a pretty good game too. Sometimes I feel like Braden, he kind of like blends in a little bit. And it's not his fault by any means. Like, I love the captain, right? He does my intro to my show. But I feel like that's the type of player he is. He's such a selfless player on ice, but he does what he needs to do. And I'm glad that you said this about Sonny. I am a huge Sonny fan. when he came back. I was absolutely excited about that because I feel like he is kind of like the character of the Blues. Not like that in a sense, but he just, the personality maybe. I don't know. But he adds a lot to this team. When the Blues come to the city that I live in, by the way, just so you all know, I do interview the players and I talk to them, and that's how I'm able to get a lot of content for the off season because I ask a lot of open-ended questions, right? And one of the things that sticks out to me was the Blues had a really, really bad loss to the Ottawa Senators, an 8-1 loss in the beginning of the season. And I said to Jake Neighbors, hey, Jake, this kind of feels like a little bit of a slump, right? Coach Bannister was still the coach at the time. And Jake says to me, yeah, it does, but we'll get out of it and we'll be even better. You'll see. And that's the mentality that this team has. Because I even said to Jake, I'm like, well, what motivates you all? And he just said that they want to go to the playoffs. And he said that all the way back in October. And I really do believe when Jake told me that, they still have that same mentality now. Winning is exciting, but you know what they always say? Once you win, it's harder to stay on top. Well, these guys are proving everybody wrong. Doug Armstrong was on with Biz on a podcast, and I listened to some of it. And there's just so much positive right now. And yes, it was a very nice tribute for Patty Maroon, hometown legend for life. I love Patrick Maroon. But I think that there's so many factors that contribute to this team. I know the Blues don't have the best penalty kill. I actually thought they did fine tonight, honestly. Like, I can't complain about too much. Like, Cam Talbot just played a fantastic game in net, but this team always finds a way. And I think that's the one takeaway that you should have tonight, that I have tonight, that I think we all collectively can have tonight, is that this team will always find a way, and they're going to find a way. There's not a lot of games left of the season, by the way, folks. I just want to put that out there. There really isn't. The Blues, and I'm going to be honest with you, they really needed these. I can't believe it. I'm sorry. I said 89 points, not 87, 89 points. 89 points. Wild card one. I need to look at the NHL All League standing really fast because I can't believe it. I mean, I can believe it because but 89 points. That's wild card one. Let's go. Let's go. It's beautiful. Look at me admiring. You can't see what I'm seeing right now, but I'm admiring. I'm like, wild card one. 6 games left. Whew. Wild card one. Now the Wild do have a game in hand, by the way. But okay. So this might sound kind of crazy. Here we go. The Colorado Avalanche, who we beat, by the way, they're 5 points ahead of us in the 3rd spot of the Central. Do you think the Blues can get there? I know. Haley, you sound crazy. I know. But do you think the Blues can get there? I don't think so. And I'm not a hater. Obviously I love my Blues, but I think the Blues are going to wild card one. I'm sorry. I don't think anybody understands. And this is just me freaking out right now. But, I do this podcast every single day for the past 2 years talking about the Blues, right? You know how much I love the Blues. That's all I talk about. Everyone gets annoyed by me. I talk about the Blues all the time. I really, really, really thought they could get wildcard 2 last season, and they were close. They were the best first team. This season, when things weren't trending the right direction, I was getting annoyed. I'm like, oh, okay, I want to see my team in the playoffs. This makes me so, and you know what, Darkness, you've been somebody that I have to give you credit. You have been like a day one every day on this podcast. But it's true. There is a lot to be excited about the future. People were saying, I heard rumors from the national media like, oh, Jordan Binnington will be traded in the offseason. I don't think at this point they're going to ever get rid of Binnington, until his contract's done, maybe. Oh my God. Did you see some of the saves he had tonight? He stopped the cat. He was so good. I could talk so much about this team right now. Oh my goodness. 41, 28, and 7. At home, 21, 14, and 3. Away, 20, 14, and 4. Shootout, 4 and 1. And right now, we are 10, 0, and 0 in our last 10 games. 10, 0, and 0. The St. Louis Blues are the best team in the NHL following the break. Following the break, the St. Louis Blues are the best team in the NHL. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? The St. Louis Blues. And you know what? I'll say it. I will say it. It was announced today. I did put out the PR that the Blues PR sent me. But yes, Jordan Binnington was the third star of the month for the month of March. And again, if people will hate on Jordan Binnington and say, oh, he's not good. They're just jealous, honestly. Okay, so let's go see. Locked on Red Wings said briefly upset, but I remembered we're already cooked, so I guess it's okay. I mean, like, at least you're self-aware, right? Wow. The St. Louis Blues. It said hockey images that preceded bad images. I was thinking the game with like a minute left. I love this team so much. I don't think you understand. I jokingly said the Blues may never lose again. That might not happen. Like, they may not lose again. Let's go see if any of the guys said anything in the locker room following the game, because I am very curious to hear what they have to say. Wow, over 50 plus assists for Robert Thomas in his last in 3 out of 4 seasons. That's for my buddy Mike. Play Gloria. I don't know what song they're playing in the locker room. I would be interested to know, but this St. Louis Blues team, I'm going to say it now. This is a team that if you're another team in the NHL that's going to be going to the playoffs, be worried about this team. This is a team that has something magical happening right now, something incredible happening right now. And this team finds a way to win. I'm so happy. And I hope you understand that I don't usually do post-game shows. So again, I'm kind of all over the place, but I keep on looking at that goal from Fowler in overtime, and it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. What is happening right now with the St. Louis Blues. This is a great wow. I just cannot believe that this is real. This is not even April Fool's. This is real. Like, the St. Louis Blues are that good of a team tonight. All right. I don't want to be on this stream just saying wow, wow, wow the whole time. So leave me some questions. Give me your thoughts down below so I can react to them. And then I'll go to that. So we have Play Gloria. I wish to get copyrighted, but you know the song. I know the song. Then we have we are being seriously blessed by the hockey gods. You know what it is? I think we're being blessed by the St. Louis Blues being a pretty good team. So I like that comment as well. Again, if you have any more questions, comments, I see that you're watching, leave them down below. And I like that too about rotating Binnington and Hofer. Obviously, Binners are 1A. However, Hofer has been playing great as well in net. And I see a lot of promise and potential in him. I actually did interview Joel Hofer in the beginning of the season, and he said that Binnington has been such a good mentor for him and towards him. And again, you can really tell the chemistry that they both have, because Binnington really does his best to give guidance, to give advice, and to really, show Hofer what he needs to do. Watch out, Vegas. We are coming. Now, the one thing I will say about the Vegas Golden Knights is I'm so surprised they didn't put Mark Stone on LTIR. I'm sorry. Like, I had to throw that in. Like, if I have to shade the Golden Knights, like, I'm going to shade the Golden Knights. The St. Louis Blues are wild card 1. people are watching this podcast, by the way, that are not even Blues fans, which I love because thank you for watching. You're probably just jealous that the Blues are doing great. Or if you're not, then I appreciate the support. But people are finally paying attention to the Blues and they're noticing how fantastic Dylan Holloway is, how fantastic Robert Thomas is, how fantastic Jordan Binnington is, how fantastic Cam Fowler is, how fantastic Jordan Kyrou is, how chippy and gritty Nathan Walker, the Aussie, is. Like, again, I love this team, so I'm biased. Like, I'm very biased, obviously. However, it is so great. Holloway autograph. Hey, listen, this is a future star of the Blues. You know, it's funny. The Edmonton Oilers, they did a really good job developing Holloway and Philip Broberg. So thank you, Edmonton. Seriously, like I appreciate it because these guys came here ready to go and fired up. I mean, with Edmonton, Holloway was never going to be a top 6 forward. He wasn't. And with the Blues, he had an opportunity. And that's something that Doug Armstrong said during training camp, that this allows him an opportunity to prove himself essentially. And he did great last year in the playoffs with Edmonton. But here's the thing. Edmonton doesn't have a lot of young guys, right? They have a lot of older players. So I was a little bit surprised that they didn't match one of the offer sheets. However, I am happy about that because Philip Broberg, he's such a fabulous two-way defenseman, and that's his strong suit. I know that we always kind of talk about Holloway when it comes to the offer sheet guys because I feel like he's been the player that's a little bit more, out there doing more. But Philip Broberg has been an incredible addition to the St. Louis Blues as well. I have to tell you, this is a pretty good feeling, and I'm going to have a very happy Victory Wednesday. Again, I want to remind you, yes, you are watching, that I do daily episodes on the St. Louis Blues. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Haley Taylor Simon, and I am a huge Blues fan. And if you're not new to the channel and you've been following along, Haley, are you ever going to wash your hat? No, it's my good luck hat this season. It's funny. I usually wash my hats before the season and all that. This is my good luck hat. I can't wash it now. So I'm already starting the superstitions. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for coming to my post game live stream here on YouTube. It will be up on Spotify and Apple Music in about 5 minutes. I'm going to upload it there too. And again, thank you all so much. It's been such a blast talking Blues hockey with you all. I was at the draft. I was able to interview Adam Yurchak last year, which was a really cool experience. And I try my best. I really do to get out there and to get as much content as possible. Being in a different city, unfortunately, just due to work. But I love this team, and it makes me feel more and more connected to every single one of you. I met a Blues fan that lives in Australia, and I was like, wow. I didn't go to Australia. They were in another city. However, Blues fans all over the world. And right now we all get to celebrate the wild card. I have to change my Twitter name now. The wild card one, St. Louis Blues. And with that being said, how I end every single episode here in Locked On Blues, it's a very simple way to end the episode. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's go Blues.